Thank you. Ironically, when they called me and said that I was getting the Distinguished Alumni Award, I was, of course, very excited. And then they followed that up with, and then we'd like to have you give the commencement speech. So well played, SCC, well played. No, it's an honor to be here. As they said, I'm a graduate of the 1996 class here at SCC. In fact, we were talking today that the night that I got graduated, a tornado came through Beatrice. And we had everybody at our house in the basement with the lights turned off, and when we came up, trees were knocked down, and it was pretty devastating for our community. As a leader in the community, I'm super, super proud of SCC and what it offers and brings to our community, and excited for you guys as you go out into this world. And I just want to say thank you for coming to Beatrice and being part of our community. That means a lot to those of us that have been born and raised here. I remember several teachers as I was going here. In fact, Rebecca was she was my anatomy teacher actually, and I liked her so well that I took her class twice. So that's nothing on her part, but mine. Anatomy wasn't quite my forte, and there's a reason I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But Dan Johnson also was one of those teachers that was always very, very welcoming and always, always a pleasure to be around, and really helped me find my feet here at SCC and got me involved with attending different things here, volleyball games and basketball games and that sort of thing. I also, one of my other memories and important to me, I guess, is, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he was my English teacher, and I had to write a paper, and that paper actually ended up being the paper that I read at my grandfather's funeral. So it is something that I will never ever forget either. And I was also jokingly saying that I took oral communications, and remember freaking out because I had to stand up in front of a class of about 12 people and speak for 2 minutes. So I'd say maybe I've moved up the ladder a little bit in public speaking. When I was growing up, my parents were wonderful. And my mom was, or is, a cosmetologist, and I remember sitting on her bed when she would get ready to go to her big conferences and get out her fancy shoes and her dress, and I just always remember thinking, boy, she must be really, really important. You know, she was going on all these trips, and she was president of the Cosmetology Association, and I remember thinking that was what success looked like. And I grew up with a dad that was a volunteer coach for the Beatrice Bruins for over 30 years, and who gave a lot of his time to young men from all over the country to teach them the game of baseball. But if you pay any attention to baseball, you know that it's way more than just watching a game. It's about teaching men how to be leaders, and how to be part of a team, and how to be respectful, and how to follow directions. And he gave all of his own money and his own time to that. And so I had two parents that I really looked up to because they gave back a lot to the community and to the people that were in the community. And then there's my sister, who I love dearly, but jokingly, she would tell me, she was my little sister, I only have one, and she would tell me regularly that I was not her boss. You're not the boss to me, you cannot tell me what to do. So I'm going to thank her today as I stand up here, because my mission was to be a boss, and I get to do that in my job, but I hope in better terms than in that. So lots of really important people in my life. When I was growing up, you know, I say now, I have a son that's 18, and he's going off to SCC in Milford, as they said, and I always, sitting in the rooms looking at you guys, think, this is a really tough time. This is a time where we're still trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives, and I sometimes think it's unfair that we ask our 16, 17, 18-year-olds, what are you going to do with the rest of your life, with the idea that we have to know tomorrow what we're going to do with the rest of our life. And as I'm getting older, I'm finding out that, you know, there's a lot of time to figure out that. And it may happen tomorrow, it may happen 10 years from now, it may happen 20 years from now. But just know that whatever your passion is, you'll find it and you'll be drawn to it eventually. In 1999, I married my high school sweetheart. And he would like me to tell you that I am who I am today because of him. And of course that I needed to say all sorts of things about how my success has been because of him, but I know better than that, and I still love him. But in 2000, Eric and I both had what we thought were our dream jobs. I was a rec therapist, which I went to school for, and by the way, I didn't even know what a rec therapist was before I went to school. It was one of those things my mom said, maybe you should try this. Okay. Because I was that 16, 17, 18-year-old that really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I decided that sounded like an okay thing. So in 2000, I got my rec therapy job in Lincoln, and Eric had the job of his dreams. And shortly within 6 months, Eric was let go from his position because the companies had sold, and I was let go from my position because they budget cuts. So imagine newly married and thinking that we've got our jobs, our dream jobs, and finding out new house, no jobs. I was unemployed, looking for just random things for several months. I had to put my student loans on hold and try to figure out what I was going to do. In 2001, I had my first child, Jackson, and I got a job at the SCC and was a rec therapist there for a good 5 years. And you know the rest. But in 2007, I had been working at the Y for quite a while, or so I thought. And you're gonna be in situations where you think you're ready for things, and then people come along and say, well, no, you're not quite ready for that. In 2007, the CEO at the Y said, you know, I really think you're gonna do great things. And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, I think you can do what you want to do with your life, and I can see you really doing great things within the Y. And I would say that was probably a pivotal moment for me. It was a moment where somebody pulled me aside, said that they believed in me, and that I had the skills to do what I wanted to do, and that was life-changing for me. In 2008, he left the Y, and I thought, well, now's my chance. I'm going to be who he said I could be. I'm going to be the CEO of the Y. And I went through the interview process and was told that I was not ready. 2008 and a half, 6 months later, that CEO left, and I applied again for the CEO position, and I was told again, you're not ready. So imagine the frustration and the anger and the disappointment, and that's where along life we have to persevere and we have to keep plugging on. And in 2009, the CEO position was open again, and the old CEO that had been around for a while came back and said, hey, I'll give 5 years to the Y, and knowing that was a position that I wanted. He mentored me, he believed in me, he encouraged me, he gave me the skills that I needed to be the CEO. And so in 2014, I applied again for the executive position, and I got it. So I guess as I'm telling you that, people and the relationships that you have with them are really, really important, and being there for people to give them the skills that they need to meet their dreams is what got me where I am today. Now here comes the speech part. You've heard enough about me and my life. And this is what I would tell my son if he were sitting here in front of me. And I'm hoping that in 2 years, I will be attending his graduation in Milford, and he will remember some of these things that I say. Perseverance. You cannot be passive. You need to create safeguards and find inspiration. So when I talk about safeguards, if you come into my office, you'll see medals hanging all over the wall. I ran a full marathon in 2016. Mind you, I hated running when I was in grade school and purposely walked around the track just to anger my teacher. And so that was a huge accomplishment. But I also decided that if I was going to run a marathon, I was going to do that in Maine and not in Nebraska. So I hang those medals as a reminder of my accomplishments. On my wall in my office, one of my coworkers wrote all these really great things about me. They've been up there since 2016 because it's a reminder to me of my accomplishments. I have tattoos on my arms as reminders of accomplishments. Now that doesn't mean any parents need to come up to me afterwards and say that I was encouraging tattoos, but we all have to find our thing to keep us motivated and to keep us not moving forward. You know, reading books and those sorts of things. I also, you know, one of my goals is to see all 50 states. And I recently, I think, crossed off number 18. And I was telling my best friend that to look at what I had scratched off. And she said, well, there's one problem. And I said, what is that? She's like, well, you haven't been to Washington. I said, yes, I have. And she said, no, you haven't. And I said, well, what do you mean? I went and saw the White House, and I went and saw, you know, all those places. And she's like, that is not in Washington. So, you know, you don't learn everything in school, but, yeah.
I'm so proud.
Surround yourself with like and unlike people. We just recently, our team, I have a team of 7 people at my Y, and we all balance each other out very well. We all have our different things that we bring to the table. I actually hired my best friend as the senior director of the YMCA, and there'd be a lot of people that would say, ooh, you know, should you have done that? Is that a very good idea? But in my world, I think, why is that not a good idea? If you have somebody that's really close to you and understands you, she balances me, she tells me when I should and shouldn't talk sometimes, and is there to make sure that things stay very smooth in our organization. So I think that you need to make sure that you're happy and that you choose to celebrate. You know, I celebrate my birthday the entire month, and I make plans. I don't wait for others. You know, those sorts of things. Don't let others dictate what your goals should be or how they should look. I have a brother-in-law who used to follow me on Facebook and see my time for when I would do my runs, and one day he called me and he said, well, that's really great that you're doing that, but it's kind of slow. And so for about a month and a half, I'm trying to run faster than I normally would, and then I all of a sudden didn't like running and I didn't want to do it anymore, and then I thought to myself, why am I letting him dictate what my goal is going to look like? And you're going to come across people on a regular basis that are going to try to tell you, you know, which road you should take and how you should take it. The other thing I think for me is prayer. I recently, in the last couple of years, took my son to Haiti with me, and one of my favorite trips was going into the homes and actually praying with the individuals in there and really seeing the power of prayer. And I think that in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. Making sure that you feed your passion. Passion is not something you can Google. We want to Google everything these days, right? It's not something, you have to be able to feel it. I recently took a trip to SCC in Milford, and we stopped and talked to the instructors, and one of the instructors talked and talked and talked and talked, and my son elbowed me and said, quit asking him questions. We've been standing here for 15 minutes, and I said to him, that is what passion looks like. When you have this fire and this energy to talk about what it is that you're doing and you're teaching, that's the kind of life you want to have, one that you're excited to talk about and share with other people. At the end of the day, I believe that it's all about experiences and relationships. From this day forward, every job you take, you will have to build a relationship. So when you have coworkers and customers and members and patients and children that you're working with, it's about the interactions that you have with them. At the Y, we ask ourselves these questions regularly. Are we caring? Are we honest? Are we respectful? Are we being responsible? It says in Philippians 2:4, let each of you look not only to your own interests, but also in the interest of others. And in the words of Simon Sinek, the quality of our relationship is what determines the quality of our lives. All relationships, business or personal, are an opportunity to serve another human being. Some of my favorite stories kind of showcase this. I think that there's two things to success: knowledge and relationships. And if you don't have the knowledge, then obviously you can't do your job. But if you don't have a relationship with the people that you interact with on a daily basis, you're not going to be successful either. For instance, I have an instructor at the Y who's trained in many, many things, and she teaches our Live Strong program. And I will tell you that at the end of the day, when we talk to the cancer survivors in that program, they're coming up to me and they're not saying, oh my goodness, she's so good at what she does. She knows how to teach things right. She knows the right terminology. They're coming up to me and they're saying she's kind, she's generous, she listens, she's caring. And that's the things that they're saying about those programs. We have another gentleman in our building who has a PhD, and I'm telling you that when they come to talk to me about him, they're talking to me about the relationships that they have built with him and the things that he has done for them. It costs nothing to be kind and to show love, and this, my friends, is what makes success. Why do you think that I choose the bank that I choose? I choose it because when I go through the drive-thru, they know my name. They ask me how I'm doing. They know what I want to do when I go to the drive-thru, and that's to drop off my money and drive off. Like, I don't want to wait for a receipt. But they've built a relationship with me. I doctor where I doctor because I know that when I go there, the doctor's going to sit and visit with me and going to listen to my concerns. I grocery shop at the grocery store that I do because the manager seeks me out when I come there, and he asks me how I'm doing and what can he do to help. Life advice: always be the best person you can be. Be kind even when you are tired. Listen when someone talks. Tell people you love them and appreciate them. Go out of your way to do things for people. The smallest things can make the greatest impact. If you've ever been bitten by a mosquito, you know that small things can make a great impact. Your choices, our action, your action, our future, your future. Congratulations. And at the end of the day, make sure that whatever decisions you are making, they are well with your soul. Thank you.